Shakti Podsir 2.
Namaste. So someone asked me on one of my videos, and they're genuinely inquiring for me, how do I know what goes on up there, quote unquote? I understand there's a lot of wisdom to be found in Vedic texts, but have you had any actual experience that has given you knowledge of the nature of these higher planes of existence? And it's XtalDelphium, and he goes on to say that I'm not trying to put you down, I'm genuinely curious. Well, thank you very much for inquiring, because this is a very esoteric and very important question, and I'm glad that you asked it, because my personal experience with the nature of what is in the non-dual realm has really been one of the driving factors which has led me to exclusively devote myself to the Vedic path, and what has attracted me so much to the idea of Vrindavan, or a forest abode in the non-dual spiritual sky. So we're going to talk about the 4 rivers of New Jerusalem. We're going to talk about the 4 rivers of the Tibetan non-dual realm called Tagzig Olmo Longring. We're going to talk about the 4 rivers of the summit of Mount Meru at Manovathy. And we'll go a little bit over some of the things that correlate with the vision that I have been having since the very beginning of my spiritual awakening. It seems almost every time that I close my eyes, since at least about 2 years in the past, I've had this experience of seeing this realm. I'll show you a picture of it here in the video. You can see it now. I drew a picture of it like a year or 2 ago, put it on my Facebook. You can see it posted up on my Facebook on October 5th of 2010. So it was like a year ago that I posted it, but I've been seeing the vision a lot longer than that. So you can see the vision now in the video, and it's very specific. It's always this same vision. And you know, it's very strange. In the middle there, you can see that there's a figure, and I actually put Krishna there in the middle before I was even a Krishna devotee. Before I was even reading Krishna books, I put Krishna there in the middle because I was trying to make out what I was seeing. I said, oh, well, you know, let's go with Krishna for some reason, you know, subtly. I couldn't quite make it out perfectly, but this is what I see every time that I close my eyes. And I didn't really think much of it. I was very curious of it until that one day I was watching a documentary titled Vedic Cosmos, and I nearly fell out of my chair because they showed this clip. I'll play it for you now.
In the center of Jambudvip stands the most extraordinary divine golden mountain called Meru. Meru is shaped like an inverted cone, and it is the sporting place for the demigods. Around Meru are many supporting mountains called Kesara. Jambudvipa is 0.8 million miles in diameter and is surrounded by the saltwater ocean of the same width. On top of Mount Meru is a resort of Brahma called Manovathy. The famous celestial river Ganges descends to the center of Manovathy and then flows out into 4 directions. Surrounding Manovathy in the 8 directions are the resort cities of the chief demigods. One of these cities is Amaravati, the resort of Indra, king of heaven. King Indra lives here in majestic opulence, attended to by musicians, dancers, and reciters.
This is what you call as Brahmasudana, the place of the palace.
Knowledge of Meru and the cosmography of the greater earth has been preserved and taught carefully by learned scholars in the preceptorial line known as the Madhva Sampradaya.
So when I saw this clip from Vedic Cosmos for the first time, as I said, it just blew me away. I mean, I've been seeing this vision that I showed you, no joke, for at least a year or two before I came across this Vedic Cosmos documentary, and I was baffled about what it was, and then I saw this documentary, and I started reading about Krishna's forest abode, Vrindavan. It reminded me of seeing this forest constantly, and seeing these different characters which are moving about inside of it. I can't really ever usually get a good glimpse of the faces of these gods which are wandering about in this forest on the summit of Mount Meru. But here is what Wikipedia has to say about Mount Meru. Mount Meru of the Hindu traditions has clearly mythical aspects, being described as 84,000 yojans high and having the sun along with all of the planets and stars in the solar system revolving around it as one unit. The dimensions attributed to Mount Meru, which is sometimes called the cosmic axial mountain, all the references to it as being part of the cosmic ocean, along with several statements like that the sun along with all the planets, including the earth itself, circumambulate the mountain, make determining its location most difficult, according to scholars, blah blah blah, Kashmir. No, it's not a physical mountain. It is not a physical mountain. The Surya Siddhanta mentions that Mount Meru lies in the middle of the earth. This is the Surya Siddhanta. This is the standard of astrological treatises in India. The Surya Siddhanta is like the Bible of astrology in India, and it's saying that Mount Meru lies in the center of the earth, Bhugola Madhya, in the land of the Jambunada, Jambudvip. Narpada Jayacharya, a 9th century text based on mostly unpublished text of Yamala Tantra, mentions Sumeru Prithvi Madhye Shruyate Drishyate Natu. Sumeru is heard to be in the middle of the earth, but it is not seen there. Varahamira in his Panch Siddhantika claims that Mount Meru to be at the North Pole.
The Vedic geocentric model explains how the sun moves around the pole star situated vertically above Earth's North Pole. As the sun goes around the Earth globe, we experience day and night. The stationary Earth, unlike the pole star, does not revolve on its own axis, though it is slightly tilted toward the pole star. During summer in the northern hemisphere, the North Pole experiences 6 months of daylight. Conversely, during summer in the southern hemisphere, the South Pole experiences 6 months of daylight. These 6-month periods correspond to a day and night for the demigods living in the heavenly planetary system.
Though no mountain exists there as well, not in the physical plane anyway. And sometimes when I think of north and south in terms of esoteric science, I think of rather inwards and outwards. You know what I mean? South being lower dimension, north being higher dimension. That's just my personal take on it sometimes. Surya Siddhanta, however, mentions Mount Meru in the middle of the earth, besides a Sumeru and a Kumeru at both of the poles. Very interesting. There exist several versions of cosmology in existing Hindu texts. In one of them, cosmologically, the Meru mountain was also described as being surrounded by Mandrachal mountains to the east, Supasarva mountains to the west, Kumudu mountain to the north, and Mount Kailash to the south. It also mentions in this one book that Vaikundam, the land of the abode of Krishna, is very near to Mount Meru, to the west, I believe it says. Something I was just reading. The Puranas and Hindu epics often state that Surya, the sun god, along with all its planets and stars together as one unit, circumambulate Mount Meru every day.
The Vedic geocentric model explains how the sun moves around the pole star situated vertically above Earth's North Pole.
So in other places it's called the cosmic axial mountain. Axial, the axis. So it's a very mysterious revelation about this Mt Meru, but it is corroborated in other traditions throughout the world. So, for instance, in the King James Bible, St. John is having a vision, and he says, Revelations 21-10, and he carried me away in the spirit, to a great and high mountain. In the spirit, St. John says, he doesn't carry away physically, but he carried me away in the spirit to a great and high mountain, and showed me that city, the holy Jerusalem, descending out of heaven from God, having the glory of God, and her light was like a stone, most precious, even like a jasper stone, clear as crystal. So now he's saying that the light there, which is coming from the glory of God, the Brahm Jyoti in the Hindu traditions, Vedic tradition, is colored like precious stones. And that's the color that I drew it like, and that's the color that everybody, sees during meditation, these bright, vivid, auric colors. Whenever I see it, it's always shrouded by these neon bright colors. So then it continues, and had a wall great and high, and had 12 gates, and the gates 12 angels, and names written thereon, which are the names of the 12 tribes of the children of Israel. And on the east 3 gates, on the north 3 gates, on the south 3 gates, on the west 3 gates. And if you can see the picture, I drew it. When I drew it, I was seeing that there was like these 3 currents within each stream. 3 currents this way, 3 currents that way, 3 currents this way, and 3 currents that way. Like 3 gates on each side, like it says in the book of Revelation. And the wall of the city had 12 foundations, and in them the names of the 12 apostles of the Lamb. And this is, of course, all symbolic imagery. And he that talked with me had a golden reed to measure the city, and the gates thereof, and the wall thereof. And the city lieth 4 square. 4 squares. And the length is as large as the breadth, meaning it's perfectly square. And it's divided into 4 sections. And the foundations of the wall of the city were garnished with all manner of precious stones. And this is something you see in Krishna's symbolism of his abode also. You hear them talk about how that there is all kinds of precious stones within his city. And he has a throne made of precious stones, and there's platforms made of precious stones, and pathways and precious stones everywhere. The first foundation was jasper, the second sapphire, the third chalcedony, the fourth an emerald, the fifth sardonyx, sixth sardius, seventh chrysolite, eighth beryl, ninth a topaz, 10th chrysoprasus, 11th a jacinth, 12th an amethyst. At the 12 gates were 12 pearls, and every several gate was of 1 pearl, and the streets of the city was pure gold, as it were transparent glass, and I saw no temple therein, for the Lord God Almighty and the Lamb are the temple of it. And that's the highest realization of Krishna's abode of Vrindavan. There's no temple, in the innermost areas of Vrindavan, of his pastimes, because Krishna and his friends are the temple. They're beyond temple worship. They are the real thing itself. They are the abode of God's pastimes. They're God's home and God's inner Leela, God's inner being, his inner life. And this city had no need of sun, neither of the moon to shine in it, for the glory of God did lighten it, and the Lamb is the light thereof. So that's exactly what Prabhupada in the Vedic tradition says, is that in Vaikuntha there is no need of artificial light, because everything is self-effulgent, that everything is glowing there with the glory of Lord Narayan. And the nations of them which are saved shall walk in the light of it, and the kings of the earth to bring their glory and honor into it. And the gates of it shall not be shut at all by day, for there shall be no night there. And there shall bring the glory and honor of the nations into it. And there shall be no wise enter it, anything that defile it, neither anything worketh abomination or maketh a lie, but they which are written in the Lamb's book of life. Next, and he showed me a pure river of water of life, of Ganga water. This is the same as the Vedic tradition, folks. The Ganges is flowing straight into the center.
The famous celestial river Ganges descends to the center of Manovathy and then flows out into 4 directions.
And he showed me a pure river of water of life, clear as crystal, proceeding out of the throne of God and of the Lamb. Right in the center, right in the middle, the throne of God and the Lamb, proceeding into 4 directions. The Ganga, the celestial Ganga, descending, the pure river of water of life. In the midst of the street of it, and on either side of the river, was there the tree of life, which bare 12 manners of fruits. This is what I'm seeing in this vision. There's trees all over the place. And in the Gaudiya Vaishnava tradition, these trees are called Kalpa Vriksha trees, desire-fulfilling trees. They produce whatever. And it says here, which bare 12 manners of fruits, and yielded her fruit every month. And the leaves of the tree were the healing of all nations. And the leaves of the tree were for the healing of all nations. Now, if you look at the Vrindavan symbolism, the trees in that abode, there's different types of trees, but the main tree is Vrindadevi, the Tulsi tree. This is the most sacred tree in India. Every Indian house almost has a Tulsi tree. And the leaves of the Tulsi tree are the most healing things that you can get. I read a story about a devotee who cured her father's cancer with the Tulsi tree leaves. These are legendary sacred tree leaves called the Tulsi tree leaves. I'm not making this up, folks. This is right out of the scripture. And there shall be no more curse, but the throne of God and the Lamb shall be in it, and his servants shall serve him. This is also directly from Gaudiya Vaishnavism, the inner core of the highest, most spiritual plane. The devotees are serving the Lord, Lord Krishna, in love, just tasting that infinite nectar of love of God in service, just moving in a divine spontaneity of love and service. This is straight out of Gaudiya Vaishnava, translates perfectly into the inner core of mystic Christianity. And they shall see his face. Revelations 22-4. And they shall see his face. And his name shall be in their foreheads. They shall see his face. Is what it's saying here. It's saying right here that God has a face. And you shall see it in Vrindavan. And there shall be no night there, and they shall need no candle, neither light of the sun, for the Lord God giveth them the light, and they shall reign forever and ever. And he said to me, these sayings are faithful and true, and the Lord God of the holy prophets sent his angel to show unto his servants the things which must surely be done. Behold, I come quickly. Blessed is he that keepeth the sayings of the prophecy of this book. So this is the very end of the book of Revelation. This is the last chapter in the book of Revelations. Chapter 22 is the last chapter in the book of Revelations. So, this is the conclusion. This is the most esoteric core of the Bible, and it's confirming all of this. So in the Tibetan tradition also, on these mandalas that they meditate on and that they create religiously, we always find a four-cornered symbolism to be the main hallmark of what they're doing. Wikipedia says this about Tagzigolmo Lungring. Tagzigolmo Lungring is a non-dual non-dual spiritual realm, plane or dimension of the Bon tradition. The Bon people were the people who lived in Tibet before Buddhism came there, which resides beyond dualism. Dualism such as perceiver, perceived, subject, object, God, not God. It is understood to be a timeless, perfected realm where peace and joy are the very fabric of being. This country's name, or Tagzig, is believed to be a form of the name Tajik, blah 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 blah. The realm of Tagzig Omo Lungring is fabled to be located to the west of Mount Kailash, just like it says about Mount Meru. Near Mount Kailash, the abode of Lord Shiva, and shaped like an 8-petaled lotus and divided into 4 regions. So this really is shaped like an 8-petaled lotus. You have 2 rivers and 2 directions of forests, you know, rather 4 and 4, so that creates an 8-petaled lotus flower. The sky of this realm is likened to an 8-spoked wheel, referred to the Dharma chakra, and that's what a chakra means. It means an 8-spoked wheel. That's what chakra means in Sanskrit, is 8-spoked wheel. And the land itself is fragrant and colored by beautiful flora and landscaping, charted in snow-capped mountains. Central to Tagzig Omo Lungring is Yangdu Gutsek, a pyramidal-shaped mountain serving as axis mundi with 9 yungdrungs, ascending like a staircase evocative of the 9 waves or stages of Bon. It also reminds me of the 9 planets, the 9 planets of Vedic cosmology orbiting the Mount Meru. The pyramidal-shaped mountain serving as axis mundi, or the cosmic axial mountain. The 4 faces of the pyramid mountain face the 4 cardinal directions. At the corner joints of Yangdrung Gutsek, cross-quarter directions, 4 rivers flow. This is right from the Wikipedia page. 4 rivers flow from the simulacra of archetypal thought forms. Simulacrum is an image. Like, the idea of the Matrix came from a book about the simulacrum by a famous author. The name escapes me right now. She's a French woman who wrote this book about the simulacrum, and it was the inspiration for the movie The Matrix. But basically, a simulacrum is like a matrix. So 4 rivers flow from the simulacra of archetypal thought forms. An archetype is something which is a permanent feature of reality, which is created over and over again. It serves as like a blueprint for the very fabric of existence, such as love is an archetype, pride is an archetype, the sun is an archetype, the father is an archetype, mother is an archetype, flowers are archetypes, all types of things are archetypes. So it says here, 4 rivers flow from the simulacra of archetypal thought forms. From the simulacrum of a snow lion, the river Narazara flows from the east. From the simulacrum of a horse, the river Pakshi flows from the north. From the simulacrum of a peacock, the river Gyamshin flows from the west. And from the simulacrum of an elephant, the river Shindu flows from the south. So the river Shindu is also in India. It says here, the Bonpo contend with this, that as Tagzig Omo Lungring is not a physical locality that can be visited by humans in the state of dualism. In order to access Tagzig Omo Lungring, one must diligently practice spiritual disciplines, purify the body, mind, and mind stream of all obscurations, and realize the non-dual state. Bonpo pray with the heart mind to take birth in Tagzig Omo Lungring, as this may occur only post-enlightenment. Mount Kailash is accessible by those in a dualistic and non-realized state, and therefore proof to the Bonpo that Mount Kailash and Tagzig Omo Lungring are qualitatively and essentially different realms. So they're spelling it out here in the ancient Tibetan tradition that this non-dual realm is not a physical plane, and it is a non-dual archetypal plane which exists beyond the physical senses, which only beings in non-dual consciousness can access. It says in many esoteric treatises that the earth, and indeed the material plane, is created from 4 winds. It even says in the Christian esoteric tradition that there are 4 angels governing the 4 winds, which blow and create the earth. So this reminds me of the 4 classical forces of the scientific understanding. You know, strong force, weak force, electricity, and magnetism. Gravity, I believe, is the 4 forces. You know, along with the 4 classical elements. Remember, it reminds me of the YHVH, the Yavi, which is the 4 forms of God. The Chaturvyuha of the Vedic tradition, it reminds me of this. You know, of the toroidal field having 2 descending forces from either way and 2 ascending forces from either way. You know, creating this like meeting of 2 triangles, which I see constantly when I have my eyes closed in meditation, you know, and which is shown on diagrams in several places. But I get this imagery of this non-dual archetypal seed of all existence, and it's related in a very strange way to the heart of the earth, to the non-dual core of the consciousness itself. It says here in the Balaram, in the 1,000 names of Lord Balaram, that Lord Balaram is Mt Meru. So the first expansion of Krishna is Mt Meru, and Balaram, of course, represents Mahashankarshan, who is the original expansion which created by Kunta, also the spiritual sky. And so he's also the expansion which created Mt Meru, and which is Mt Meru indeed. He's also the first expansion of the Chaturvyuha, the 4 expansions of God. So in some very strange way, the pole star is aligned to the center of our planet, which is aligned to this non-dual plane called Mt Meru, or in you know, in various other traditions, New Jerusalem, or that hard to pronounce Tibetan name that we were just talking about, long something or other. And it is the abode of the demigods, which rule the 8 cardinal directions. So the entirety of reality is sealed by Mt Meru, in my opinion. This is just my philosophical speculation, that the entirety of reality, which is going out in 8 directions, right, is sealed. Its existence is secured by Mt Meru, the archetypal fatherland of all existence, which stands right at the very summit of the cosmos, before Vaikuntha, and you know, next to Mount Kailash, and the non-dual core emanating its archetypal patterns throughout the entire cosmos. I get this strange feeling like this place that I'm seeing is where I'm going to go when I quit this body. I get the strange feeling that as soon as I quit the body, the vision that I'm having will expand and I will just enter into it. This Manovathy, abode of Brahma. And maybe go on somewhere else, or if I'm lucky, enter Vaikuntha. Whatever happens is resting within Krishna's hands for me. But either way, I hope you'd enjoyed this video. Please go to the top and change the watch in the URL for share. Replace the watch in the youtube.com/watch for share. Leave the rest of the stuff. Hit enter. Go down to the bottom. Click on all contacts. Share it with all your contacts, please. Favorite, like, subscribe, leave a comment. And I hope you enjoyed this video once more, this full-length video. Thank you, YouTube, for finally upgrading my account. And I look forward to spending some more time with you here on Shaktipat Seer 2. Namaste. Hare Krishna.